Hi again. I wanted to do an update on how I've been doing and what I've been doing in my life. Uh, I've been, it's kind of like a roller coaster with the recovery. There are times where I'll feel good for a couple of days and probably overdo it by doing too much. And then I'll feel bad for a couple of days trying to recover. Uh, the air is very heavy, it's hot, it's got a lot of moisture in it. So it's been harder to breathe and harder to talk. So having longer conversations is difficult. I've been feeling stress in my throat. Um, Sitting outside again, so please don't mind the traffic. I like the warm. I like feeling the warmth and not uh, feeling like I need a sweatshirt or pants or anything. I can wear shorts and a t-shirt. Still a little muggy, but it's comfortable. Uh, yeah, but I guess my mental state has been a little bit different. I've been going through the Bible. I bought a Catholic Bible, and I've been reading that and studying um, the things that Catholics believe, the doctrine. Um, it's different than what I'm used to. When I was growing up, I was taught that salvation is like you get saved and then you just always saved. But I don't know if that's true, you know, because a lot of times people get saved and then they turn away from Christianity and totally denounce it, become atheists, and like, what about those people, you know? And a lot of the argument that I get is, well, those people were never saved. But at the time, they were. They truly believed it and they tried to live their life by it. And then, for whatever reason or reasons, um, there was a crisis of faith and they don't believe it anymore. You know, it's like, well, what do you do with that? Catholics have had a long time to develop their doctrine, and so they have ways of explaining, well, that person is in mortal sin. They live in mortal sin after being converted, and then those people go to hell. You know, I have a lot of the same struggles in my own mind. It's like the more I read the Bible and I study it, the more my brain doesn't want to believe it because it sounds absurd in a lot of ways. You know, especially the Old Testament and the stories that a lot of denominations believe and people believe are to be taken literally. Um, it's hard to believe that stuff. It's hard to have faith in something that it seems intellectually to be so uh, unbelievable. So there's a conflict between the mind and the heart and what you can accept intellectually and rationalize and have faith in versus what you just can't rationalize and process. And there's a verse and these are the things that make me question my own mind because I was having these thoughts and then I remembered from growing up, uh, I was having these thoughts as I was scrolling on YouTube, looking, just doom scrolling. You know, it's a bad habit that I have. I like to see what randomly pops up in my feed. Uh, and I was having those thoughts, those doubts, and I had this verse pop into my head that I was taught as a kid, but I remembered it that it was Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Proverbs 3, verses 5 and 6, which says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths." And I'm not kidding. After I said that verse in my head, I scrolled the page down, and that verse popped up on the feed on a channel that I had never seen before. So things like that happen, and I think, well, is that God talking to me? Imagine the coincidence that had to happen for me to be thinking those thoughts and then have that rebuttal of the doubts in my mind and then see it pop up on the screen. You know, is that God? Is that God talking to me? Or is it just an amazing coincidence? So things like that, they kind of mess with my head a little bit, you know, and I don't want to just attribute it to being indoctrinated into it as a kid and just dismiss it altogether and say, no, no, it's just a coincidence. But I don't want to put too much faith in something that possibly is a coincidence. So I have a lot of doubts, but I don't want to. I'd like to just believe and have faith and then have that be the end of it. You know, just say, yes, this is the correct thing, this is the truth, this is the way to go. But there are a lot of reasons that uh, intellectual person, you know, and I'm not trying to say I'm intellectual, but I just mean a human being with intelligence. There's a lot of reason for a human to doubt those things. Pardon me. My hair's growing back. As a random thought, I just noticed, yeah, it's growing in pretty good. You know, there'll be a little shiny spot here where they did the craniotomy, but hopefully my hairline will grow out and I can kind of comb that over a little bit. But yes, not too bad. I mean, yeah, I think it would. I think it would be unreasonable to um, expect any more, considering what it looked like before, which was pretty brutal. But yeah, so that's what I've been doing, and unfortunately, I tend to think and ruminate a lot, and so when I read through the Bible, I always spend time kind of dwelling on it and wanting to research it deeper and end up going back to the original language that it was written in and looking for like mistranslations, like, oh, there's got to be something that got missed here or some thing that will help make it all make sense, you know, logically, because logically it doesn't make sense. It But I do think logically it makes sense for everyone to believe it, because if everyone on the planet had the same moral compass, the same set of morals and beliefs, then and personal accountability and wanting and to live their lives that way and living their lives that way, then it would eliminate a lot of problems in the world. People wouldn't steal from each other. People wouldn't seek vengeance. They wouldn't have different ideology about abortion or immigration or all of the things that we as modern day humans have differing opinions on, because we would all have the same core belief system and the same doctrines and all of those things that would unify a group of people. So, because that makes logical sense. Well, it would make a bunch of robots. No, it wouldn't. Because people would still have choice. They could still choose to not believe it. They just would be the outsiders or I don't want to, I can't think of the right word. Not shunned in the community, because that's not what um, Catholics do, as far as I know. Um, but they would be the ones out there breaking the law and would most likely get removed from society and arrested for breaking the law. So, but you can't force people to believe a certain thing. I mean, I suppose it's possible to brainwash them and, you know, charge them with thought crimes and sort of like 1984-esque stuff where you can force them to, but it's probably a lot more trouble than it's worth. If it's even possible at all, I don't know. But had I've been struggling with a lot of these thoughts going back and forth in my mind. I keep daily reading the Bible and praying, but even praying I'm hesitant to do, because what if he is listening to me? And what if I ask for something or pray for something and it happens? You know, is that selfish? Is that selfish of me? And what would that do to my psyche? So I guess just yeah, that's the update I have. Hopefully I'll get some good news with the next blood test that comes back, and I can exert myself more consistently instead of feeling like I'm on this roller coaster, and get my mind sorted out and where I want my thoughts to be focused. But yeah, till next time. Thanks for watching.